back to On Location, guys. Today I'm on location here in my car as I'm driving to the location, actually. And the reason why I'm doing this now instead of actually at the location is because there's a big fireball of a sunrise right beside me here. And looks like I'm going to be another probably 12 minutes away from getting there. But today I'm going to be on location at Hisey Park, and it is a park in Warren County Park District, that local area near Waynesville, Ohio. It looks about 158 acres, I believe, and it's going to be there's a nice scenic overlook. It looks like there's a restored wetland that's about 10 or 12 acres long. That's along the Little Miami Scenic Trail, which is a bike path that I actually frequent quite a bit when I go cycling. But the park was acquired in 2003 with the help of the Hisey family, which obviously it's named after them. Yeah, so basically we're just going to be hiking along it for the day. I'm going to be focusing on landscapes, probably. Maybe some more intimate landscapes, so some frost, maybe some snow. There's tons of snow on the ground everywhere, as I can see, and my car is reading -4 degrees, so it's going to be a very cold one, so I don't really know how long I want to be out. It's going to be a really toss-up, so I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. New locations are always fun, and sharing them with you, of course, and seeing what they have to offer. So I'm looking forward to this, and so I'll talk to you a little bit when I get there, and we'll hit boots on the ground and finally get this day started. So I will talk to you in a bit. Alright, so first impressions just from the comfort of my warm car. It looks like up here is the hillside where the overlook is. Now, I kind of want to get to that first, honestly, because I feel like it might be pretty nice. So I'm the first one here, actually. This looks like something cool. I like this. There's like, I don't know if there's like a red house and a barn, and that might be where like the Hisey family used to, you know, live and everything. So maybe it's just kept here and it's restored and everything, which is pretty cool. It's a nice kind of like brick red. Barn-sided design, and a nice house. There's a small little like looks like a corn crib. There's like a mini silo and some other like garage-looking extra buildings and everything. So yeah. So once I pull over here, I will say that it looks like the sunrise is happening behind the overlook, which means it's casting this glow of front light all over this way, and it's just lighting up the giant, you know, tree line and stuff and everything over there. Which, yeah, I'm thinking that might be my first shot, if I can get to in time. The light could get really worse. I don't know, the sunrise looked a lot better from the car earlier when I was talking about it, but then it just kind of dulled out or whatever. Did I mention they didn't plow the parking lot? Alright. Alright, I'm gonna start hiking, I guess, and check out the place. I don't know how many miles of trail there are, but it's a decent amount probably. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here, and then we'll see, you know, what happens today. Hopefully get a photo. I'd like to think so at least, but whatever. Let's keep going here. So this park in particular actually is it's pretty much adjacent to the Creek Gorge Nature Preserve. It's a location I've been to before for the series, and a couple other times on and off. And so yeah, it's basically like kind of like a hybrid really of a community park and nature reserve, as it has these restored wetlands and some, you know, newly planted woodland, I believe. And then there's also this prairie trail, which is where I'm starting for the day, and seeing where it takes me. And hopefully it takes me towards that scenic overlook, because that's where I really want to be at the moment. It's just the higher up view, which, you know, down here in this part of what used to be, you know, before pre-settlement Ohio, of course, with the glaciers and everything. So there's lots of these big, like, massive hillsides and rock walls, like this one I'm looking at over here, and they're just very, very stunning. I mean, it's not like mountains, of course, but, you know, for Ohio standards, these are probably is about as good as it gets, and this area in particular is no exception. So yeah, so I think let's start with that. There was actually a little bit of a trail map at the parking lot and the trailhead, and it was all frosted over, the little plexiglass or whatever window, but I really couldn't quite see it as well. Tried wiping it off, it didn't work, but I managed to see there's about, looks like about 1.5 miles of the woodland trail and 1.5 miles of the prairie trail. So I'm just gonna keep going here, basically just have a wander for the morning. That's all I'm really here to do, at least. And look at these wildlife tracks. Something came down the opposite way and left out this trail here, but whew, so this is probably the most strenuous hiking I've done in a while, probably in months, but and just coupled with the really cold temperatures. But I just went up this big meandering hillside. Yeah, it's nice and quiet and just peaceful, and yeah, I was reading some of these educational signs, some pretty interesting stuff on them. Probably the most notable thing I saw was just typical like mammals like voles, coyote, red fox, but they actually said there's up near the, I think it said west of the river basin, and just north of these woodland, they spotted a young male black bear back in June 2009, which is pretty cool. Obviously I probably won't see it today with them, probably hibernating at this time of year, but still, it's pretty neat. I could definitely see it being possible, just with all these rolling hillsides and everything. So far I'm 3/8 of a mile in, it said, at least from the trail markers and everything. But so I'm gonna make my way up here and see where this takes me. So far no photographs yet. A couple times I've been tempted to stop and try out a composition, but I'm just at the moment just kind of pre-scouting and more focused on just seeing what could be a good photograph. But as I say that, it gets sunnier and sunnier behind me as it's almost 9 a.m. and ooh, I'm here, it looks like. So let's go ahead and check this out. Alright, so I've been here at the Overlook for quite a while now, just basically scouting around, getting some new perspectives, and trying to see really what I can come up with, maybe potentially for a photograph here. And so I think I've opted for, basically I've been kind of like kicking back and forth. I wasn't even sure if I was going to take a shot at this view. It's a very stunning view, I will say, but like right now, at least in winter, I'm like kind of iffy about it maybe. I'm more desiring maybe something in like peak autumn foliage, when the tree line, everything all around here is just, inundated, hopefully with, golden colors and orange and red and all that stuff. So the thing that drew me most to, trying to capture an image here was actually just the red barn itself, offset with all the white, wintry snow around it. So I just find this stuff like that with the bright, red, red color really just, really draws your attention, of course, like a stop sign or something. And so I felt like with that being a higher contrast or just a more dynamic scene in front of me with the snow and everything, I just thought it was a good idea to do. So I set up the shot here. It's something a little bit different, actually. I like the both the focal length and the perspective that I'm pairing up with here. So I'm at about 135 millimeters with a small telephoto zoom lens, of course, and I'm just using a polarizer filter just to knock out a little bit of the reflection, the sheen on the light there. I am overexposing by one full stop, just so I get the bright color of the white of the snow, and that way it doesn't go to a more neutral gray and everything. And so I'd recommend that for winter, of course, is to always overexpose, at least a few, maybe stops of light even. It just really depends on the sunlight, really available for that day. But that's so that way it doesn't render itself as a neutral gray which is what the camera's built-in meter would, expose for, or try to at least. So that's what I'm doing with this one. And so I'm just getting it just bright enough and overexposing just enough where it's not blowing out the highlights, and I'm still protecting those, of course, in the final raw image, of course. So I'm doing with all that, but I think the perspective itself is just very different because it looks something like a top-down shot, not top-down, but just a very kind of far off distant shot. It's really, I don't want to say grand, but it's a much more bigger view of it, I think, and it feels much more like you're on top, I guess, of the barn, so to speak, just in terms of viewing it. So I'm about 100th of a second f11 in ISO 200, and it's pretty nice, gorgeous. I think it's shot for what it's worth. Nice front lit light as it gets here the mid-morning, and I would say it's the best I can come up with, but that's about as good as it gets for right now. And sorry if you can hear all the crunching snow, because I cannot feel my toes, and so I need to keep moving around. So I'm gonna take some shots here, maybe a couple more at least, and then keep going along the trails here and see maybe if there's any other images to be had here at Hisey. So alright, so shot number 2 actually just came shortly after I left the overlook area. And so I just started meandering along the woodland here, and along the snowline path there's this fallen tree trunk right across, and it's snow-topped, of course, and there's just this beautiful light just backlit on all these snow-lined tree branches all the way out here, and it shows just the sunlight just pulling through, and then you see all the shadows down here as they stretch across along the trail here, and it pretty much almost perfectly lines up with the felled tree trunk that's down here. And so I'm thinking I'm going to do some wide angle, something a little bit wider at least. I'm going to do a 16 millimeter shot of just this entire scene encompassing right before me here. And so I think it looks pretty great, and I think the conditions are just right with this kind of mid to late morning light here. And so I'm going to be at a 20th of a second f11 in ISO 200, and doing something that's a little bit lower, tripod to the ground. Since I have no center column on this tripod, that means I can get it much lower to the ground and get other unique perspectives that you really couldn't quite possibly get otherwise, unless if you were shooting handheld. But I feel like for this I'm going to do it that way just because I have more stability, of course, with it that way. And so I'm also on a 2-second timer just to ensure there's no camera shake, as well with any shots I take. And so this is something really nice. I feel like this leading line, as it just kind of leads your eye into the path here, is going to be something that's going to be really desirable in the image. And so for that reason, I've kind of offset via rule of thirds the trail onto the other side, onto the left side, that is, of the image. So I'm going to be pretty much skirted over towards the other side here and take the shot. But I'm actually going to be focus stacking him, probably because of the depth of the scene, and there's a lot of chaos and stuff going on with the scene. Even though it's very quiet and peaceful, visually speaking, there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to be focus stacking on the tree trunk here, and then I'm going to be going part ways down the woodland. And I think doing just 2 shots of that particular focus stacking would be, I think it's going to be, just right for what I'm going for here. And then because the sky's getting really bright up here, as you can probably see from the highlights a little bit, I'm going to be doing some exposure blending and some HDR, so I'm going to bracket the shots. And so I'm going to be exposing probably for the darker shadow portion over here, and then I'm going to be exposing obviously for the sky up here. And I might capture the mid-tones as well, so I might do something that's more mid-range, like just exposing simply for the tree trunk, since it's closest to me and it looks bright, at least from where I'm standing here. So there's a lot of information there, but hopefully it all made sense to you. And so yeah, I'm still freezing out here, but I'm really enjoying the shots I'm getting so far today, these landscape images. Alright, so I was just hiking around the trail here. I'm still on the prairie loop, actually. I think I'm getting close to being done with the loop, it looks like, but I noticed on the trail map there's actually a straight line that goes right through and basically bisects the entire loop trail here, and I think I found it. So it's this beautiful stand of some old tall pines, and it's just like a narrow corridor, like basically a hallway, walkway down there, and stopped me dead in my tracks. And I was just like looking at this thing. It's really cool. It's really, really neat. I like it when they have these nice straight symmetrical lines and rows to them and everything. So of course I had to try out for a shot, of course, because can't really pass this up. But so I'm at 60th of a second f10 and ISO 100. I'm not really focus stacking. I don't think it's really necessary. At least I'm not really feeling the desire to do it. But I am doing some brackets, and I'm doing about 3 or 4 of them.
just so I can expose for, you know, the shadows, the highlights, the midtones, get some of that sky detail. See how it's really blue over here, and then closer towards the sun, it gets much more paler and more white. So basically exposing for all that, and you know, just making hopefully what will be a nice image. As you know, there's some, you know, just gentle soft snow drifting through, and it's getting kind of like side lit from that. It might show up in the frame, honestly, I'm not too sure, but yeah. So these look really, really cool. This is really neat. Also on a 2-second timer, and I'm also doing vertical orientation, as you can probably see here, using a nice L bracket so I can switch it pretty quickly. But I only see the need to really do a vertical with this one, so I think this is pretty nice. This is really cool. Just nice quiet time here in the woodland. Nice snow. It's a very beautiful blue sky, sunny day, and just the gentle snowfall. It's just nice and peaceful. It doesn't get any better than this. So, and I think it's kind of funny, whenever I get a good shot I get excited a little bit more, and I actually feel the cold go away. So I'm not sure if that's me ignoring it, or just like it almost like warms me up to take an image or something weird like that. Yeah, very, very weird. So I'm gonna keep going here and wrap up the video eventually. So I don't know when, but I'm gonna go along this trail here, and then basically I think I'll take my way out. But first I might just go down here and see what it has down there as well. All right, so I just concluded this little loop trail, or more like a walkway, even though it's all snow lined and whatever. But it's nothing really too much out here. It's just a community park type of amenities and stuff. Nothing really too picturesque, but it is a nice, just, you know, quiet and peaceful, just out here in the open kind of day. The sun's really, really bright, as you can tell. I really wish I wore sunglasses or something, because it's very bright, and it's just reflecting off all the white snow, and it's making it hard to see pretty much anywhere. Pretty much nothing else really too eventful, at least out here. I mean, I did see a hawk flush away about 30 or 40 robins. I mean, that was pretty cool, I guess, but didn't catch anything. I couldn't see what hawk either, because I don't have my binoculars on me or with me. They're in the car, of course, when it works that way. But other than that, yeah, I'm gonna go along this trail. I think this is where the prairie and everything looks like to be, and check that out. But as far as I can tell, I think photos might be done for the day, unfortunately. But like I said, regardless, it's still a beautiful day out, and so I'm really glad I came out here to the Hisey Park. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. This has been Hisey Park. Until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.